The film begins by showing a violent and gruesome scene where a member of the mafia is brutally murdered. The reason for this heinous act was because he was suspected of betraying the leader of the mafia gang. The order to torture and kill the member came from none other than the vice chairman of the Goldmoon Mafia, Jeong Cheong, who commanded other mafia members to carry out this merciless act. They repeatedly beat him until his body was covered in injuries. Finally, they threw him into a drum, which was later disposed of in the sea. The person who orchestrated this violent act was Ja-Seoung, who was the right-hand man of Jeong Cheong. Meanwhile, the head of the Goldmoon Mafia, Sok Dong-chol, was driving back from visiting his young wife when a sudden truck collision left him severely injured. He was rushed to the hospital immediately so he could receive the necessary medical treatment for his injuries. As soon as news of Sok's accident spread, the entire mafia organization gathered at the hospital to show their support. Jeong Cheong, who had just returned from Shanghai, quickly approached Ja-Seoung, who was waiting with other members of the mafia. Although he was a somewhat peculiar person, he considered Ja-Seoung as a close friend since they had known each other for a long time. On their way to the hospital, Jeong Cheong gave Ja-Seoung a watch as a gift to celebrate his wife's pregnancy. However, Ja-Seoung was not pleased with the gift because it was an imitation brand, and he made fun of Jeong Cheong for buying cheap things. This made Jeong Cheong upset, and he took out his frustration on his subordinates, insisting that the watch was genuine. When they arrived at the hospital, the organization's top officials gathered, anxiously waiting for news from the doctor. Unfortunately, Sok could not be saved, leaving Lee Jung-gu, the third deputy chairman of the Goldmoon Mafia organization, angry at the doctor and everyone else confused about the uncertain future of their organization. After the cremation process was completed, a funeral ceremony was held to bid a final farewell to the mafia gang leader. Soon after, several police officers appeared to supervise the burial process. This made Jung-gu incredibly angry, and he vented his frustration by breaking their equipment. The argument was then diffused by a man named Kang who was a police officer and also Sok's accomplice. Chol was a corrupt cop who frequently accepted bribes from the Goldmoon Mafia gang to ensure the smooth operation of their illegal businesses. At that time, Jung-gu was hesitant and unable to take any action, so he reluctantly obeyed Chol's commands. Soon after, Jung-gu and his men ended the argument and left the scene. Meanwhile, at the police headquarters, the higher-ups were discussing the controversial factions competing for succession after Sok's death. The police had been monitoring the movements of the mafia gang faction for a long time. With Sok's passing, the leadership chair of Goldmoon was currently vacant, and the Goldmoon gang had a significant number of businesses, ranging from legal to illegal enterprises. But the police have been unable to find solid evidence to prove it. Therefore, the police are finding it challenging to uncover the crimes committed by the Goldmoon gang. To get more leads, they plan to interfere in the replacement of the new chairman. The first candidate for the new chairman is Jeong Cheong, who is responsible for managing the business outside Korea, and the second candidate is Lee Jung-gu, who is the most prominent manager and close to Sok. These two candidates are the most influential leaders in the organization, so they are likely to fill the leadership position in the Goldmoon Group. The last candidate is Jong Soo-ki, an old man who co-founded the gang from the beginning. However, Soo-ki is too old, and his strength cannot possibly match the strength of the other two candidates. To bring down the Goldmoon gang, the police plan to influence the leadership succession process by creating conflict between the three strongest candidates and ignoring their internal business. This secret operation or mission will be called the New World Operation. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Ja-Seoung is playing a board game called Go with Shin-woo, a woman who assists him. Suddenly, he receives information about an upcoming board meeting to discuss the leadership succession process in the Goldmoon Group. However, he becomes agitated and rushes to a building to meet with Jeong Chol. It is revealed that Ja-Seoung is an undercover cop who has been tasked with infiltrating the Goldmoon Mafia syndicate and gathering information about their illegal activities. Shin-woo is also his partner in this secret mission. Initially, his task was supposed to be completed after Sok was removed from his position. However, he is given a new mission, and Jeong Chol no longer sees Ja-Seoung as a police officer. At that time, he seems to have become too involved in the criminal world. He wants to quit his job and return to his old life as a police officer. However, at the meeting, Jeong Chol suggests that Ja-Seoung should switch professions and become a gang member in the Goldmoon Group instead. Jeong Chol believes that if Ja-Seoung's identity as a police officer is revealed, he will be considered a traitor and face severe punishment, such as being drowned in the sea. Thus must continue to disguise himself and follow Jeong Chol's orders, whether he likes it or not. 2 days later, Goldmoon's top executives hold a board meeting to discuss the succession process for the new chairman who will replace Sok. As expected, Jeong Cheong and Jung-gu's factions are present at the meeting, competing for the most votes. Ja-Seoung, who is on Jeong Cheong's side, acts neutral and does not show support for anyone. After the meeting, Jeong Cheong asks Ja-Seoung to take care of his office while he goes to Shanghai for business. As they walk to the parking lot, Jung-gu's car almost hits them, indicating that he is trying to cause trouble. Jeong Cheong then invites Ja-Seoung to a small party to celebrate his wife's pregnancy. After the party, Ja-Seoung meets with Shin-woo to pass on more information. He asks about the identity of the other police officer who is a spy in the Goldmoon group. However, she cannot reveal this information as Ja-Seoung only needs to follow protocol and do as he is told. On the other hand, Jung-gu called a meeting with other leaders and tried to scare them into supporting him for the upcoming chairman election. The following day, Ja-Seoung went with Jeong Cheong to the airport and noticed that they were being watched by many people. Once Jeong Cheong went through security, some police officers approached him and greeted him. It turned out that he met with Jeong Chol in the interrogation room nearby. There, Jeong Chol shared a file with Jeong Cheong about the investigation of the Goldmoon group. But he did not do it to threaten Jeong Cheong, but to ask for his help in taking down Jung-gu together. By working together, they could easily become the new leaders of the group. Shortly after, Jeong Chol urged Jeong Cheong to consider his proposal, but he did not have any strong desire to become a gang leader. However, Jeong Chol gave him another report that made Jeong Cheong even more interested in the plan. It turned out that the report that Jeong Chol shared with Jeong Cheong was about the spies who had infiltrated the Goldmoon group, and Jeong Cheong was very interested in obtaining this file. While on the plane, Jeong Cheong asked his lawyer to verify the information provided by Jeong Chol and hired assassins to deal with the spies that had been identified. Meanwhile, Jung-gu was having lunch with his men when Jeong Chol showed up with an official court warrant for his arrest. The charges against Jung-gu were serious, including murder, fraud, molestation, and prostitution. Before being taken to the police station, asked Jeong Chol if Jeong Cheong had betrayed him, but Jeong Chol did not give a clear answer. When Jeong Cheong arrived in Korea, he met with Jung-gu to confront him. There, they argued until Jung-gu warned Jeong Cheong that he would kill him after being released from prison. Jeong Cheong then met with Jeong Chol secretly at an empty football stadium. He gave Jeong Chol a box of mooncakes as a gift, and Jeong Chol checked the box and found a pile of money inside. Jeong Cheong hoped that this gift would help their future business dealings go smoothly. At the same time, Jeong Cheong got some important news from his lawyer. The news confirmed that Jeong Chol had told the truth, so decided to have a meeting with all the important people in his company, Goldmoon. He also ordered a group of assassins called the Hanbyeon Group to get rid of the traitors in Goldmoon. The Hanbyeon Group came to Seoul, trying to be inconspicuous and not draw attention from the police. Later on, Ja-Seoung, who was in Korea, received a call from Jeong Cheong. At that time, Jeong Cheong wanted to meet Ja-Seoung and surprise him. However, he was worried because he thought that Jeong Cheong might have found out his true identity. At the same time, the Hanbyeon assassins found out about Shin-woo's identity and went to execute her. There, Shin-woo fought back, but the assassins managed to trap her. On the other hand, when they meet, Jeong Cheong had a surprise for Ja-Seoung. There, he showed Ja-Seoung someone who was locked up in a barrel. That person was Shin-woo, and she was in a very bad state. At that moment, Ja-Seoung was shocked to see this. Jeong Cheong then revealed that Shin-woo was actually an undercover cop and a spy for the police. Hearing that, Ja-Seoung was panicking because he didn't know about this before. Then, Jeong Cheong told Ja-Seoung that he found out about Shin-woo's identity from the files he had. He gave the files to Ja-Seoung and warned him to be careful because there might be other undercover cops at Goldmoon. At that time, Ja-Seoung was very worried about Shin-woo's condition, and he was also afraid that his own identity as a police officer might be revealed. Soon after, Jeong Cheong took a shovel and started to kill the traitors in their group. He asked Ja-Seoung to open the next page of the file, and then he hit the people next to him with the shovel. He even killed the person in front of Ja-Seoung. This was very confusing for him because even though Jeong Cheong had the mission file, he still didn't know Ja-Seoung's true identity. Afterward, Jeong Cheong ordered the Hanbyeon assassins to have fun with Shin-woo's body. But Ja-Seoung didn't want her to suffer anymore, so he took a gun and shot her to end his pain. He did this to save Shin-woo from the torture that would be inflicted on her by the Hanbyeon killers. On the other hand, Jeong Chol visits Jung-gu in prison and shows him a picture of Jeong Cheong. There, Jung-gu gets the impression that Jeong Cheong betrayed him and reported him to the police, so he commands his men to seek revenge on Jeong Cheong. The next day, Ja-Seoung meets with Jeong Chol to talk about the Goldmoon gang's current situation. There, he informs Ja-Seoung that their computer system was hacked and their confidential data got leaked. Hearing that, Ja-Seoung feels uneasy and wants to quit the mission, but suddenly Soo-ki arrives. There, Jeong Chol had promised to help Soo-ki become the chairman so that the police can take control of the organization from the inside. Then, he threatens to reveal Ja-Seoung's true identity to Jeong Cheong and Soo-ki if he tries to back out, leaving Ja-Seoung with no other option but to continue with the plan. Meanwhile, Jung-gu's men run into Jeong Cheong's group in the parking lot and attempt to kill him there. The situation spirals out of control as members of the Goldmoon gang start fighting against each other. Under the leadership of Jeong Cheong and Jung-gu, the gang splits up and attacks each other. Even when Jeong Cheong's group tries to escape through the elevator, their enemies continue to pursue them and attack them. As a result of multiple knife stabs, he gets severely injured and is on the verge of death. Even their lawyers get killed in the brutal fight. Meanwhile, Jung-gu's men are also following Ja-Seoung's wife, Mi-ran. Fortunately, with the help of the police, she gets arrested, but the traumatic experience causes her to panic and suffer from bleeding, which leads to a miscarriage. On the other hand, Jeong Cheong, who is on the verge of death, gets rushed to the hospital. The injured members from both factions also require immediate medical attention for their wounds. Later, Ja-Seoung receives news of the attack and rushes to the hospital, where he is respected by other mafia members as Jeong Cheong's confidant. When Jeong Cheong realizes Ja-Seoung's presence, he asks to speak with him alone. This is the first time he sees Jeong Cheong cry, and despite Jeong Cheong's appreciation for Ja-Seoung's concern, he already knows everything. Then, he tells Ja-Seoung that he must choose between the police and Goldmoon, and he has left a gift for him in his safe, which Ja-Seoung must take before he passes away. The next day, Jung-gu is released from detention, but no one comes to pick him up. It becomes evident that he has no support left. Ja-Seung's men report his departure, and Ja-Seoung resumes his work. After Ja-Seoung left for work, his wife Mi-ran smiled, happy that he was still alive and well. Soon after, Soo-ki arrived to pick up him and asked to speak to him privately in the car. However, Soo-ki's actions made Ja-Seoung suspicious, as he drove the car at high speed and changed their route. Unfortunately, Ja-Seung's men were unable to catch up to them, and it appeared that Ja-Seoung was now trapped among Soo-ki's armed men, who were ready to attack him. Despite the danger, Ja-Seoung tried to remain calm and reassured his attackers that Jeong Cheong would not let them harm him. When they got out of the car, Soo-ki greeted him with a message for Jeong Cheong, which confirmed that he intended to kill him. At that time, Ja-Seoung remained composed even when facing death. Meanwhile, Jung-gu had accepted his fate and knew that he would soon be targeted. Before he was killed, Ja-Seung's men granted his final request for a cigarette. Back to Ja-Seoung, it appeared that the person who would be attacked was not him, but rather Soo-ki himself. The members of Goldmoon had secretly decided to remain loyal to Ja-Seoung. Meanwhile, Jeong Cheong had finally managed to meet with one of the assassins that Ja-Seoung had coded. Although he was prepared to face the consequences, Jeong Cheong needed to obtain the code. Meanwhile, as the police director left, another assassin followed him. This happened on the same day as the election of the chairman by the board of directors, but Ja-Seoung and Jang Soo-ki were still absent. However, the board of directors received news that Soo-ki had withdrawn his candidacy due to personal reasons. In reality, he had been murdered and drowned by Ja-Seoung and his gang. Upon hearing this news, the board members were left wondering who would take over as the next leader of the Goldmoon group. After that, Ja-Seoung emerged as the new leader of the group and was heavily guarded by his men. With his influence and power, none of the board members dared to object and were forced to accept Ja-Seoung as their new leader. After officially becoming the chairman of Goldmoon, Ja-Seoung learned that Jeong Cheong and the police director had been killed by his men. This reminded him of the struggles he faced while trying to become a spy within the Goldmoon Mafia. He also remembered how he had tried to instigate Jeong Cheong to attack a group of armed men, which ultimately led to their close friendship. It seemed that Ja-Seoung chose to remain loyal to Jeong Cheong by siding with Goldmoon. The film ends. The moral lesson of this film teaches us that we must be willing to take risks to achieve our goals and that we must be prepared to face the consequences of our actions.